August 2nd, 216 BC. The plains of Cannae. Under the scorching sun stands one of the largest armies of antiquity, almost 90,000 Roman soldiers. Legions, heavy infantry, cavalry, banners, drums. Opposite stands the army of Carthage under the command of Hannibal. But today, history takes a turn. On the right flank, amid dust and screams, machines appear that shouldn't exist, 10 modern infantry fighting vehicles. Metal, thermal imagers, automatic cannons. None of the ancient soldiers even understand what these things are. The Romans think they are new siege engines or divine monsters. The horses rear in panic. Hannibal looks to the horizon and understands, if these iron beasts belong to Rome, the battle is lost. But IFVs obey neither Rome nor Carthage. They act as a separate mobile unit, smashing into the center of the formation, breaking ancient tactics with ramming and fire. 30mm cannons begin to mow down dense ranks of infantry like a sickle through wheat. The classic Cannae scheme, encirclement, is beginning to crumble. Hannibal planned to lure the Romans into a pocket. But now, at the center of this pocket is not weak infantry, but armored vehicles with thermal imagers and radios. The infantry fighting vehicles fan out, covering all directions, and begin to fire on the cavalry trying to outflank them. Horses fall, riders fly into the dust, the formation breaks within minutes. The Roman centurions shout, trying to restore order, but the sound of the cannons drowns out everything. One volley, and dozens of shields are shattered into splinters. Arrows and pila bounce uselessly off the armor. For the ancient world, this isn't just a defeat, it's a clash with something that destroys the very concept of war. For the first time in thousands of years, the dense formation of the legions offers no advantage. Hannibal tries to salvage the situation. He throws his elite Numidian and Spanish cavalry into battle, hoping that their speed and mass will overwhelm the vehicles. But the infantry fighting vehicles retreat, firing as they move, creating a mobile corridor of fire. Each vehicle becomes a moving fortress. In 10 minutes, the ancient cavalry loses more men than in an entire real-life day at Cannae. The Romans begin to panic. Their numerical advantage evaporates, because the dense formations make them an ideal target. The infantry fighting vehicles switch to high-explosive shells, and each flash tears huge holes in the legionary blocks. Instead of a harmonious shield wall, a field of fleeing, wounded, and burning men appears. The Carthaginians initially rejoice, their enemy is dying. But then they realize, these vehicles don't distinguish between allies and enemies. Several infantry fighting vehicles turn around and cover Hannibal's flanks, because the thermal imagers see nothing but living targets. The battle turns into a hellish meat grinder, where all ancient logic is erased. In 1 hour, the field of Cannae is changed forever. Where only Romans should have lain, thousands of bodies now lie on both sides. And 10 infantry fighting vehicles are still moving, almost undamaged. The historic battle, known as the perfect encirclement maneuver, turns into the first technological catastrophe in human history, the ancient world. The dust over can become so thick that the sun almost disappears. The infantry fighting vehicles turn on their thermal imagers and continue their hunt, seeing every living body as a bright target in a black and red world. For the armies of antiquity, this seems like magic. Soldiers who try to hide behind smoke and shields are the first to die, because the machines see through everything. The battle ceases to be a fight between men, it becomes a hunt for machines. Hannibal gives the final order, retreat. The Carthaginian army turns and tries to retreat to the hills. But the infantry fighting vehicles begin their pursuit, cutting through columns, cutting off their escape routes. The same encirclement tactics Hannibal used against Rome are now being used against him, only with the speed and firepower of the 21st century. The Romans, too, are trying to flee. Their famous discipline collapses in minutes. The narrow passes between the hills are clogged with thousands of people. The infantry fighting vehicles deploy their turrets and methodically clear these bottlenecks, turning retreat into mass destruction. This is no longer a battle, it's a historical apocalypse. A few hours later, it's all over. The armies of Rome and Carthage are virtually annihilated. On the field of Cannae stand only smoking craters, shattered shields, and 10 nearly intact combat vehicles. Neither side has won. A technology that should never have appeared in this era has triumphed. History begins to take a different path. Without the Roman army, there is no expansion. Without Hannibal, there is no Carthage. A power vacuum engulfs the entire Mediterranean. City-states survive, empires are not born. And the 10 infantry fighting vehicles, left without fuel and a link to the future, become a myth, the Iron Gods of Cannae. Years later, local tribes build temples around the vehicles. Metal that cannot be cut. Glass that does not break. For people, this is not technology, it is a miracle. A technological invasion forever changes the course of civilization 1,000 years into the future. In this world, the Roman Empire doesn't emerge. Roads aren't built, Latin doesn't emerge as a global language. All because one battle was rewritten by machines. Cannae becomes the point where humanity veered off the path we knew. And it all began with 10 infantry fighting vehicles that simply found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Without orders. Without a mission. But with weapons that were more powerful than any army of the ancient world. Decades pass. Then centuries. The field of Cannae is overgrown with grass, but beneath it still lie the wreckage of the future. People find strange shell casings, pieces of armor, melted metals. They don't understand what they are, but the legend of the Iron Battle is passed down from generation to generation. History as we knew it is erased, as if it never existed. Without Rome, Europe develops differently. There is no single law, no imperial roads, no Latin world. The continent is turning into a mosaic of independent civilizations growing around the fragments of technology. Some are beginning to worship it, others are trying to dismantle it and replicate it. Hundreds of years later, someone starts the engine of one of these machines for the first time. Without understanding what it is, but using the discovered fuel mixtures, people bring the engine of future warfare back to the world. And the technological leap occurs not in 1,000 years, but in a single generation. Now wars are changing. Spears and swords are disappearing. In their place are emerging firearm technologies, inspired by the machines of Cannae. A world that should have passed through the Middle Ages leaps beyond them and enters the Industrial Age long before our time. But there is a price. This world develops faster, but more brutally. Technology emerges without philosophy, without humanism, without the ideas of Rome and Greece, which shaped laws and culture in our history. This is a civilization of strength, born from a single destroyed battle. Deep in the depths of the continent, where the Battle of Cannae once thundered, stand rusting but still majestic war machines. They are surrounded by cities, temples, and fortresses built by a new civilization. People don't know what an infantry fighting vehicle is, but they know that it was they who changed the fate of the world. These machines are called the guardians of the beginning, those who ushered in an era of strength, iron, and endless war. Scientists in this alternate world try to decipher the secrets of ancient machines. They dismantle armor, study wiring, and replicate weapon designs, without understanding the true origins of technology. Every new gun, every engine, every factory is an echo of that very battle where the future burst into the past and shattered it forever. In this world, there is no Rome, no familiar Europe, no familiar history. There is only a civilization that grew on the ruins of the weapons of the future. Cannae becomes the most important date in the annals of history, the point where humanity abandoned the natural path and took the road paved with metal, gunpowder, and fire. Once, it was simply a battle between Rome and Carthage. But 10 more machines transformed it into the most dangerous moment in all of human history. Because sometimes, a single misstep in time is enough to erase the entire future that was meant to be, and replace it with a completely different world. After the disaster at Cannae, the battlefield is no longer empty. people from all over the Mediterranean begin to settle around the site of the iron machines. Houses, warehouses, and markets are built next to the BMPs. This is the safest place in the New World. No army will dare approach where entire empires were once destroyed. Over time, an order of guardians arises around the machines. These are warriors and engineers tasked with protecting the BMPs and preventing anyone from using them for conquest. Cannae becomes a neutral zone, a place where the fate of states is decided not by war, but by negotiations. The engineers study the machines cautiously. They cannot reproduce the BMPs completely, but they adopt their principles: gunpowder, mechanical breech blocks, steam engines. A world that should have undergone 1,000 years of slow development makes a technological leap in just a few generations. Wars are changing. Now armies consist of artillery, armored wagons, and mechanized troops. But the fear of Cannae remains. No one dares attack the city of iron machines, because everyone remembers what happened to Rome and Carthage. Centuries later, people no longer remember Rome as we knew it. Their legends speak only of Cannae, the day when the heavens brought iron warriors and the world became different. This is the 0 point of a new civilization. 10 war machines didn't conquer the world. They rewrote it. A single mistake in time destroyed the old future and created a new one. And somewhere in the heart of this world, those very same infantry fighting vehicles still stand, silent witnesses to the moment when humanity turned from its familiar path.